Every single country has a racist history. From slavery in the United States to the Nazis in Germany or the Rwandan genocide in Rwanda. Very similar to war, violence, and greed. If you ask people if they are bad, most will agree with you. And yet they prevail regardless. Why is that? I've been perplexed by race since I was a little kid. One of my biological parents is black, while the other is white. And all of my siblings and I are different colors. Skin color has about 50 different genes that determine how dark, red, and much pigment is produced, along with a variety of other characteristics. You're probably familiar with dominant and recessive traits, where dominant traits only need one copy of a gene to be expressed, whereas recessive need two. For example, brown eyes are dominant, whereas blue eyes are recessive. There are also co-dominant traits in which both traits are expressed. For example, a white cow and a brown cow producing babies with white and brown patches. Additionally, there are incomplete dominant traits in which the traits blend together. For example, a white flower and a red flower producing pink offspring. Skin color in humans is an incomplete dominant trait, meaning that it's more of a spectrum than black and white. But why is there this spectrum in the first place? All of humans' closest ancestors, chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas, have very dark skin to block the high amounts of ultraviolet radiation from the sun in their habitats near the equator. As humans became more successful, we expanded into territory far away from the equator that receives less ultraviolet radiation. Too much ultraviolet radiation exposure will damage DNA. However, we need some exposure to produce vitamin D. Someone with dark skin far from the equator will block the little amount of ultraviolet radiation that there is and not be able to produce enough vitamin D. However, someone with light skin won't block the ultraviolet light and will be able to produce vitamin D far away from the equator with less UV exposure, making it advantageous to have light skin far from the equator and disadvantageous near the equator, as there won't be protection against the high UV exposure. Concurrently, it's advantageous to have dark skin near the equator, as there will be protection against the high amounts of UV radiation, and disadvantageous far away, as there won't be enough vitamin D produced. Side note, most animals produce their own vitamin C. Humans are not one of those animals. Along with our aforementioned closest relatives, this is likely because our common ancestor ate a lot of fruit that was high in vitamin C, making it unnecessary or even a disadvantage to use energy to produce the enzymes that create vitamin C, and therefore the trait was lost. Because of that, now we have to eat food that contains vitamin C, or our gums will bleed and our teeth will fall out, otherwise known as scurvy, which is just a vitamin C deficiency. Back to the main topic. As people expanded territory, populations would become geographically isolated by mountains, deserts, or large bodies of water. Geographically isolated populations are also genetically isolated, meaning that they will develop new traits and not share them with other populations due to lack of contact. Beyond differences you can see, like hair, skin, and body type, geographically isolated populations will also develop distinct immunities to different diseases, meaning that if you saw someone who looked radically different than you, they would likely have radically different immunities than you. The people that encountered someone new that looked different and treated them kindly and welcomed them with open arms would be the ones who got sick and died. The people that encountered someone new that looked different and treated them with hostility or disgust, the racist ones, would be the ones that survive. If someone looked different from you, you could get sick from them. And because of that, it was an advantage to avoid people who looked different. Repeat that process for thousands of generations, and you end up with a species that has an inclination for racism. For most of human history, that strategy has served us well. However, with today's globalization, medical technology, and access to travel, that trait has become nothing but a unnecessary, harmful remnant from our species development. I started this video with the question of why does every country have a racist history? Many will claim that a country is racist because of its culture. However, considering that it is literally every single country, it's much more likely that racism is just a component of human nature. Although the fundamental cause isn't culture, it is my opinion that the solution is. In a culture that doesn't accept discrimination based on race, each generation will become less racist as social norms change and racist people reproduce less, weeding out the trait from the population, in case you were wondering. If you go on my channel, I do have shorts that I've made in the past, but this is my first, real video. And if you liked it, leaving a like would be appreciated as it boosts me out in the algorithm. If you have any feedback for me, a comment would really be appreciated. And if you want to see the future content that I have in the works, subscription would be very appreciated. Thanks for watching.